All right, welcome everyone. It's 10:40 and we will be starting with the lightning talks. For the first presenters for the lightning talk today is Ginger Garza and Austin Hammond, and they'll be sharing on Think Like a Librarian, information literacy training for university staff. Ginger and Austin, please take that. So you have, very quickly, sorry about that, you have 5 to 7 minutes each. So you have 3 minutes for question and answer.
Awesome. Can everybody hear okay? Great.
Okay, great.
Okay. And our screen, you can see it perfectly. Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and kick us off. Thank you so much for having us today. This is Think Like a Librarian. Our focus today is on collaborative partnerships, especially unconventional ones in a university setting. My name is Austin Hammond. I'm a new manager of employee development at the Texas Women's University in the Office of Human Resources. I'll let Ginger introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ginger Garza. I'm the manager of access services and a librarian at Texas Women's University. Okay, so here's just a general overview of what we'll cover. We'll be talking through the process we took to create an information literacy training session, specifically for an audience of typical university staff members. And this is the route that we took to do that. So it started with just a simple conversation. Austin and I often chat about what we're working on, and one day this sparked an idea for a training session. And this idea turned into a potential interdepartmental project, which of course requires permission from our supervisors. So we created a pitch, which included the estimated amount of time we would need to spend on the project, as well as any other departments that might be involved. And then once we got that approval, we dove into the planning process. So we chose the ACRL Information Literacy Framework as a foundation for the training. We are an academic institution after all, and we wanted to break down these concepts in a more relatable way.
So I'll tackle the training design and delivery portion. In our post-COVID world, it was really important to us to have both online and in-person options, but specifically we wanted something that was synchronous. Engagement is a big part of our training strategy here with HR. So we are really focused on hands-on and problem solving. So we wanted opportunities that had reflection for people to think about how information interacts with aspects of their job, as well as group discussion elements and opportunities for me and Ginger to give feedback to the participants. And that's really important because in training, the more problem orientation we can put on the training focus, the better it is for adult learners because they're more likely to retain the information we give them. It also makes it really practical and they're able to see directly, how do I apply these principles to some aspect of my role? And then of course, overall, this was really great for us because it met strategic goals, both in the TW libraries, with HR, and the university as a whole. We also wanted to highlight some of the benefits that we saw. I'm gonna let Ginger talk about the library ones first.
Yeah, so the first benefit for the library staff support, the session brought librarians and non-library staff together. So it's a unique opportunity, that takes rather traditional concepts and applies them from a new and unified perspective. And the session also enhanced the library's campus presence. It connects the library to overlooked users. So in those training sessions, I often encouraged attendees like, hey, go use the library. And finally, having a good relationship with HR is never a bad thing. It only helps our administration and HR leadership.
Yeah, and on the HR side, there's been a big move away from just being an office that manages transactions to being agents of transformation within an organization. So this really lined up as an opportunity to be able to help impart really good skills and knowledge that our employees need to be good knowledge managers. as well as our mission in our HR office to try to support the employees that support our greater mission, which is to support student learning, faculty research, and graduation. So it really just benefited both of our offices so well, but more importantly, the employees.
And we asked a couple questions at the beginning when they registered and then following the session. We wanted to gauge their understanding of information literacy. So for example, this is how we worded the question at the follow-up survey. And we took the aggregate scores. Those are the numbers that you see here on the screen. So this shows that people indicated a higher rate of familiarity and applicable use of information literacy after attending the session compared to before. However, we noticed that people often rate the middle ground when they're answering their questions. So going forward, we're going to create some new questions that go beyond their overall understanding. We want to determine exactly what they know about information literacy and maybe identify their own definitions of it.
And then in addition to that, right now our sessions are formatted where it serves just the general employee population, but we wanted to also drill down to specific groups. So one example is we're going to have sessions for academic advisors as well as new supervisors, but we're also planning on supporting departmental assistants. Department assistants are often like the nexus of information in a department. They're serving their deans, department chairs, faculty, students, staff, etc. And so we figure if we try to tailor a session to them in particular, it'll have a multiplying effect and will help everyone in that department. And so ultimately, we want to call to action in order to move towards the horizon. Look for opportunities in your organization to collaborate with maybe unconventional partnerships. I hadn't heard of very many opportunities where HR training and development staff had worked with librarians directly, but both me and Ginger had a shared purpose of wanting to increase information literacy within our employees. And so we were able to connect on that purpose and create an awesome opportunity for them. In addition, any job that interacts with information can benefit from information literacy. And so it was really important for us to raise awareness around that and show our employees that this is an important topic that they should devote time to within their training needs. And then lastly, in higher education, I'm sure many of us who work in university settings can relate to this. We often find ourselves in silos, but silos are not going to lead us to that new horizon of information literacy. We got to build bridges. And so we've built, or at least we're in the process of building a good bridge between HR and TW libraries here with hopeful plans to offer more trainings. And we encourage you to also look at building bridges at your organization. And that's it for us today. If we have time, we can take a couple of questions, but we just want to thank you for listening and thank you to the Lilly organizers for having us. And also feel free to reach out to us via email if you have questions or maybe want to talk through what a session could look like for y'all.
Thank you so much, Austin and Ginger. We do have questions in the chat. Do you want to take a look at that?
Sure, yeah.
I can read it out for you, whichever.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, so the first question, and I'm going to read from here, says, will you have a pre-session survey to find out what they already know, as well as a post-session survey to find out what they learned from the session?
Yes, we currently have one when they register, and then we have a follow-up one, but we're going to work towards making that a little bit more specific so we can gather more valuable data. So we can see exactly what they know about information literacy rather than asking, how do you feel about it?
Thank you, Ginger. And there's another question. Can you tell us how many participants you had in the session? Did you have participants representation from all areas of the university staff?
Yeah, I can take that one. So our in-person session didn't have the kind of turnout that we were really hoping to see. I would say we had probably about only 6 or 7 employees, but we did see good distribution across the university. We had a couple people from facilities. We had a couple of project coordinators, administrative assistants, which were really the groups that we were hoping to hit, were, ones that don't really work in research or with academics. With our online session, we saw a lot more attendance, and the more sessions we tend to add, we're just slowly growing. So we're hoping the more targeted specific kind of groups will help us get more people, especially because we can change the content and the practical problems we use to focus on specific issues that certain kinds of employees might come across.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Austin, and thank you, Ginger. You're just right on time. I do not see any other question. Yes, and so thank you so much.